Hello students, in the last class we were revising this chapter structure of the atom. In the previous class we had seen the different models, atomic models that was discovered by different scientists. So let us continue that revision and we will complete the chapter today. It's a very interesting and very simple chapter. Now let us recall what we studied in the last class also. So this is the first atomic model discovered by J.J. Thomson. So what J.J. Thomson proposed is the atom model is like a watermelon where that red color part is positive charge and the seeds which are in black in color that are called electrons. So positive charges are everywhere inside the atom and electrons are randomly placed inside that positive cloud. This is what the model, atomic model proposed by J.J. Thomson. The next one is Rutherford's model of atoms, Rutherford's atomic model. Before Rutherford's atomic model, in the last class also I told, Rutherford conducted an experiment. It's called gold foil experiment. After that experiment only, from that experiment, Rutherford came to a certain conclusions. So from that conclusions, he proposed this model. So let us see what is that experiment, gold foil experiment. Let's see. See, this is the diagram for that gold foil experiment. Here if you see, this round circle parts are gold atoms. All are gold atoms. Now, here it is written alpha particles. What is alpha particle? Alpha particle is nothing but a positive charge. That's all. So, alpha particles are being injected from this side. So very fastly the alpha particles are coming. What is alpha particles? Alpha particles are positive charges. That's all. Okay. The positive charges are being injected towards this gold atoms. Here plenty of gold atoms are there. You see. All are gold atoms. Now, when these positive charges comes, what will happen? So here we have gold atoms and the alpha particles are going towards the gold atoms. Now, just look at this diagram. Here, take this part. Here, so many alpha particles are coming. Let us take one alpha particle for an example. Here, this alpha particle is going towards the center of the gold atom. Okay, so when it is going towards the center of the gold atom, after reaching this particular center, here you see, after reaching this center, it's coming back in this line. So once again I repeat, we have taken one alpha particle. What is alpha particle? Alpha particle is a positive charge. If we take one positive charge which is going towards this gold atom, when it strikes the center of the gold atom, it is coming back immediately like a ball. If we throw a ball towards the wall, immediately it will come back. Similarly, when the alpha particle goes towards the center of the atom, it is coming back immediately. But here also you can see here this is going towards the center of the gold atom, and after striking the center of the gold atom, immediately it is coming back in a different direction. Anyway, it's coming back. Direction differs, but it's coming back. Now take this line. Here there is no center of the atom, so this alpha particle is going in a straight line. Why this one is going in a straight line and this one is coming back? Because this is striking the center of the atom. That's why it is coming back. But this line, there is no return. It is keep on going in a straight line. It's not coming back. The reason is it's not at all striking the center of the atom. It is traveling in a different way. In that way, there is no center. Okay, are you getting this point? I'll repeat once again. This is a gold foil experiment conducted by experimented by the scientist Rutherford, and from this experiment only Rutherford came to certain conclusions, and from that conclusions he proposed one atomic model. So it's very important to understand this experiment to understand Rutherford's atomic model. Now, and once again I'll repeat this concept. It's very, very important. Just listen to this. See, when an alpha particle, what is alpha particle? It's a positive charge. When an alpha particle strikes the center of the gold atom, immediately it is coming back. If it strikes the center of the atom, it's coming back. But if there is no center of the atom in the path of alpha particle, it's going in a straight line. There is no returning back. So these are all the two examples. This one is going in a straight line, not at all returning back. But this blue line, this alpha particle is coming back in a different direction. The reason is this one is striking the center of the atom. Now, so when it strikes the center of the atom, it's coming back. But if there is no center of the atom, it's keep on moving in a straight line. This is the conclusion from this experiment. Now, what is alpha particle? Alpha particle is a positive charge. Alpha particle is a positive charge. When it strikes the center of the atom, it's coming back means some positive charge is there at the center, yes or no? Because when positive and positive meet each other, only then they will oppose. You can see, if you might have used this magnet, north pole and north pole will oppose each other. South pole and south pole will oppose each other. Similarly, positive and positive charge will oppose each other. Positive and negative will attract each other. Negative and negative will attract or will oppose. Yes, it will oppose each other. So here alpha particle is a positive charge. Alpha particle is a positive charge. So if it is coming back like this, that means some positive charge is there at the center also. Yes or no? Are you getting? I repeat this concept. Alpha particle is a positive charge. When it is coming back immediately opposed by someone, that means some positive charge is there at the center of the atom. That is the meaning. Let us go back to the PPT now. So that one is the gold foil experiment. So from that experiment, Rutherford found that some positive charge is there at the center. That's why alpha particles are returning back immediately. That is the reason. Okay. So from that experiment, Rutherford found that some positive charges are there at the center. Because of that, alpha particles are returning back when it strikes the center of the atom. Okay. Now, So finally Rutherford found that all the positive charges are at the center. Now in this J.J. Thomson atomic model, what J.J. Thomson proposed, alpha particles are everywhere inside the atom. What J.J. Thomson proposed, not alpha particles, positive charges. Positive charges are everywhere inside the atom. This is what J.J. Thomson proposed. But the truth is different. After the Rutherford's gold foil experiment, Rutherford found that positive charges are not everywhere inside the atom, but it is at the center only. And the name of this positive charges is proton. Proton is the positive charge which is there, which resides at the center of the atom, and electrons are roaming around the center, and that center is called as nucleus. Okay, and after that Chadwick found that one more particle is there called neutron at the center of the atom. Neutron neither positive nor negative, it's a neutral particle. Okay, so now we have three different particles. One is electron which is negative charge, and electrons are outside, means it's not at the center, it is roaming around the center of the atom. And another particle that was found because of this gold foil experiment, it's proton, positive charge. Positive charges are at the center, so these are all the protons, positive charges. And along with the proton, neutron is also there at the center, and neutron is neither positive nor negative, it's a neutral charge. This part is called as nucleus. Okay, note down everything, all the points are very important. So this is what Rutherford's atomic model. Shall we go to the next concept? Just note down all the points whatever I told. If you want, repeat the video, listen to the video once again and note down all the points. Okay, now there are some drawbacks in the Rutherford's atomic model also. What are all the drawbacks? Let us see. So here we can see, before the drawbacks, the conclusions from the gold foil experiments. Here just to read these points, these 3 points. Note down these 3 points, very important points. The conclusions derived from this gold foil experiment. So most of the space inside the atom is empty because most of the alpha particles passed through the gold foil without getting deflected. Most of the particles are not getting reflected when it is injected towards the gold foil, gold atoms. Very few are returning back because of the because it is striking the center of the atom. So that, what does this mean? The atom is full of emptiness. At center the protons are there, neutrons are there. Because of protons, because of positive charges, alpha particles are returning back, and electrons are roaming, going around the nucleus here and there. And most of the space inside the atom is empty, full of empty, except the center. At the center, of course, protons and neutrons are there. Very few particles were deflected from their path, indicating that the positive charge of the atom occupies very little space. Yes, the protons and the neutrons are at the center, or at their center of the atom, but it occupies very little space. Okay, so just to note down these points, very important conclusions that were derived from this experiment. Now what is the drawback of this Rutherford's atomic model? What Rutherford told is, the electrons which are going around the nucleus, it will get accelerated, it would undergo acceleration. Means, just a minute. Yes, so what is the drawback? What Rutherford told is, this electron would undergo acceleration. Someone will push this electron, or the electron will get accelerated by itself, and when it gets accelerated, it will move faster in this orbit, and while getting accelerated, it will radiate some energy. Outside. So if it radiates the energy, it will lose its energy. If it loses its energy, ultimately the electron will fall into the nucleus. So this electron will also undergo acceleration. This electron also will go under acceleration, and it will radiate energy. After radiating energy, it will fall down into the nucleus. So ultimately what will happen? The atom will become unstable. This is not possible, because all the atoms, not all, means almost whatever we see, if a particular material is in a particular shape, means in that material the atoms are stable. Because of that only it looks in a particular shape. If atoms are not stable, then everything will get destructed automatically. So it's completely illogical in this case. So this is not possible. If all the electrons will undergo acceleration and it will radiate energy, after that it will lose energy, and ultimately if it falls into the nucleus, then the whole atom will become unstable. So this is not possible. This is not at all logically correct. This is the only drawback in the Rutherford's atomic model. So to rectify this Rutherford's atomic model, next model was proposed, that is Niels Bohr's atomic model. And this is a perfect model which rectified the mistakes that was committed by the Rutherford. So in this case, in this Niels Bohr's atomic model, Niels Bohr told that the electrons will not radiate energy by itself. So it will not lose any energy, so it will not fall down into the nucleus, so that the atom will be stable. And there are so many shells are there inside the atom. This is first shell, this green color, K shell, and the next blue color, L, black color is M, and red color is N. And each and every shells will have different energy levels. Okay, and at each and every energy levels, different electrons are there, different number of electrons are there. And of course at the center, the positively charged nucleus. Why it is written as positively charged? Because what are all the particles are there at the center? One is proton, which is a positive charge. Another one is neutron, which is neutral charge. It is not negative charge, it is neutral charge. Electrons are negative charge. Protons are positive charge, and neutrons are neither positive nor negative. Okay, so this is what Niels Bohr's atomic model. Now different shells are there, K shell, L shell, M shell, N shell, and at each and every shell different number of electrons are there. Now how to calculate the number of electrons in each and every shell? For example, at K shell how many number of electrons are there? At L shell how many number of electrons are there? At M shell how many number of electrons are there? At N how many? So we can calculate how many number of electrons are there at each and every shell using a formula. The formula is 2n square. What is this 2n square? Let us understand. Before to that, let us finish this Bohr's atomic model. Now in a simple words, we can explain the Niels Bohr's atomic model like this: a music chair. At the center, positive charges are there, and around this positive charge, the electrons are moving. The electrons are running, moving, and there are different chairs are there for these electrons, and different shells are there in the atomic model. Different energy levels, different shells. That's all. So we can compare this Niels Bohr's atomic model like music chair. This is not for exam, for your understanding I am telling. Don't write the music chair in exam, okay? This is for your understanding. Now let us understand how. This is very important. Just note down these 2 points. Niels Bohr postulates. What is Niels Bohr's atomic model? Only certain special orbits known as discrete orbits of electrons are allowed inside the atom. So I already told K shell is there, L shell is there, M and N. That is what? Discrete orbits. Discrete orbit means what? Circle only. Orbit, circle, both are same. Okay. So discrete orbits means different circles, different shells are there. K shell, L shell, M shell, N shell. And only a certain number of electrons are there in the K shell, L shell and M shell, N shell. While revolving in discrete orbit, the electrons do not radiate energy. Of course, it will not radiate any energy by itself. If it radiates energy, it will lose its energy and it will fall down into the nucleus. That is what Rutherford told, which was wrong, which was logically not correct. So Niels Bohr corrected it. This is the Niels Bohr's postulates. Very important. Now let us understand this. Yes. So I told you one formula just now, 2n square. Okay. Here what is n? For K shell n is equal to 1. This is default. By default it will not change. For K shell n is equal to 1. For L shell n is equal to 2. For M shell n is equal to 3. For N shell n is equal to 4. Now if we need to calculate how many number of electrons are there at K shell, this is K shell. In this orbit, how many number of electrons are there? How to calculate? Using this formula, we can calculate 2n square. Now, for which shell we are going to calculate the number of electrons? For K shell. For K shell means what is the n value? It is 1. So substitute n is equal to 1 in this formula. 2 into 1 whole square. What is the answer? 1 square is 1 only. So 2 into 1, 2. So at K shell, 2 electrons will be there. Are you getting? Once again I repeat. To calculate the number of electrons at each and every shell, the formula is 2n square. Okay. Now if we need to calculate the number of electrons at K shell, we have to use this formula. And what is the n value for K shell? It is 1. So substitute 1 in this formula. 2 into 1 square. What is the answer? 2. So 2 electrons are there at K shell. Now let us take N shell or L shell. So this is L orbit, L shell. What is the formula? 2n square. What is the n value for L shell? N is equal to 2. Substitute 2 into 2 square. What is the answer? 2 into 2 square answer is 4. So 2 into 4 is equal to 8. So at L shell, 8 electrons are there. So similarly you can calculate the number of electrons for M shell and N shell. Only those many electrons will be there in that shell. This is how the electrons are distributed in different orbits or shells. You see, this is what written. Now let us go back to the PPT.